Hi friends, so this is your language arts lesson for Wednesday this week. We are still on the Milton Hershon story, and I am going to give you a quick apology. I mixed up the dates on your agenda for this week. So Tuesday, yesterday, I had you do the underlining part of your reading, and that was actually supposed to be today. So that's my fault. So if you did it already, you're already a day ahead, which is great. So we're just going to go through and I'm going to talk about some things that I noticed, and then I will give you some assistance on one of the vocabulary pages. So I am on page 296 in my Big Language Arts book, and I am looking at this front page here. So this right here on page 296, this is what you should have done yesterday, but we're going to talk about it briefly right now. So it says first read, and then it has this box, and it is showing us some different questions and some different things to do as we read this story. So one of the things I want to talk about is this box where it says notice. So it says notice text features that help explain the text. So we don't always have text features in our stories. This one we do in particular because it is nonfiction. A lot of nonfiction stories have different text features that tell you what's going on or how to find different information. So sometimes we might see pictures with captions at the bottom or along the side. We might see little call outs, like little speech bubbles. There might be a graph, different kind of things to show us some of that data. And one of the things I noticed about this picture is that they show us these little call out boxes, if you will, that kind of draw your attention. So I'm turning to page 300, and when I look at this page, it looks fairly normal. We have our text up at the top, but my eyes immediately look towards this bottom piece here. And the authors have done that so that your eyes also look there too. You see this box, it doesn't match the rest of the book, and it tells us what a philanthropist is and that Milton Hershey was one. So it relates back to his life, and it gives us a little bit more information as to what that word is and what does it actually mean. I noticed it in a couple of different places, like on page 303, there's one about what trade means, not necessarily can I trade you this card for this card, that kind of thing. Talks about what that might be. We also see some different pictures that they used, and these pictures have captions. So this is page 306, 307. We have this very large picture that takes up about half of the page, and it gives us a little bit more information as to what is going on. That way we're getting the information from the pictures that we need, and we're able to connect it back to the story. Because even though pictures are nice and they're fun to look at, it's always good to give us a little bit of extra information. So those were some different features I noticed as I was looking through this biography. And then it wants you to, the next box is to generate some questions. So while you read, what questions did you have? Do you want to know more about who this person is? Would you like to know more about his company? Would you like to know if they're still in business, which obviously they are? You see Hershey bars all the time. Those kinds of things. But I also want you to think about, what does this author want you to get out of this story? Do they want you to just, oh, chocolate's cool, that's fun, and be done? No, they really want you to understand that this person, Milton Hershey, was just a regular old kid. He had this idea that he wanted to do this, and he, took the necessary steps into building this great, wonderful company that is still around today. So think about some other questions. Maybe, What does the author want you to know? Again, are they trying to entertain you? Are they trying to inform you of something? Just think about those up in your brain and you can write them down somewhere in your book. And then the next box says connect. So I want you to connect this text to what you know from your own life. Have you done more research about Milton Hershey in the past? Have you read other books about the company? Have you ever visited Hershey, Pennsylvania? Connecting that to some personal experiences in your life, or maybe you have family members that have started their own business, started their own company, and kind of grew from not a whole lot to having much more than they already do. And then it says respond by talking about the text with your partner. Now, since we're not in school and we don't have partners, you can go ahead and tell, someone at your house about the story. If you want, you can message me on class tag and give me your thoughts, some things like that. So if you didn't already underline, like I said yesterday in Tuesday's lesson, I would like you to go ahead and reread the story for a second time and go ahead and underline and do the underlining prompts in the sides. You don't have to do the highlighting until Thursday, I think it is. So, do one step at a time. But I really hope that you found this story enjoyable and informational because, chocolate is something we all have come into contact with at some point or another, or we've seen it at the store. So then the next thing on your agenda for today, Wednesday, is a quick vocabulary page. So I'm on page 314. It's the next page right after the story is over. And it says, develop your vocab. So on this page, we have 4 vocabulary words up at the top. And I would love to broadcast this to you through my screen, but I don't have this page, so I'm trying my best. So we have this page right here, and we have our 4 vocab words. We have the word succeed, determined, impressed, and imagined. And we are going to use those 4 words to match up with a very quick and short definition. And then we're going to find a sentence in the story where it's used, or we're going to create our own about Milton Hershey. So they've done the first one for us. So we had to figure out what word means committed. And when you're committed to something, you're not going to let anything stop you. You're going to finish it. If you're in a sport, you're probably determined to do well, to be successful, that kind of thing. So they matched up determined and the word committed. And then the sentence that they give us is, Hershey was determined to start a chocolate company. And he was, in fact, determined to start that chocolate company. He didn't let the idea of working at a printing press and things like that get him down. He really went for it, and he really knew what he wanted to do. So then jumping down to the next box, it says blank means do well. So blank means do well. So take a few seconds and think about which one of those 4 words up at the top means doing well. Now, we've already used the word determined, so I know that I can go ahead and cross that out, no problem. So I'll give you a few more seconds to think. And if you said the word succeed means to do well, you would be correct. So give yourself a quick little pat on your back or a quick little high five. And I'm going to go ahead and write in the word succeed in that blank. And when you're succeeding, you're achieving everything that you want, or you're achieving the goal that you had. So you're pretty much doing well. So then I would like you to go ahead and write a sentence about Milton Hershey using the word succeed. You can change it to succeeded. You can change it as long as you're keeping the base word of success. So go ahead, take a little bit and answer that question. I'm not going to do this one with you because I want them to be your own sentences that you come up with, because we all interact with the story in different ways. So then I'm going to go down to this third box here. We can cross out the word succeed because we've already used it. And we have blank means believed. So think about when you're young and little and you're make believing in your games and things like that. What are you doing? Are you making things up in your head? Things like that. So take a second and decide, does that mean being impressed? Or does that mean imagining? I'm sitting next to a window and there's birds. So if you said the word imagined, you would be correct. So imagined means believed. If you're imagining something, you're believing it in your mind, you're making it up. You're formulating your plans, ideas, that kind of thing. So I went ahead and I crossed it out up at the top. And I wrote it in down here at the bottom. So again, I want you to write a sentence about Milton Hershey using the word imagined. Think about his company. Think about the people that he wanted to help. Use those. You can always look back in your story to get ideas. Remember that this is asking you to write it in a sentence. So you must have a complete sentence, please. And you're not writing the definition of the word. I probably should have said that more towards the beginning. We're not writing the definition of these 4 words. We're using it in a sentence that makes sense about Milton Hershey. So you might want to look up the definition to just make sure that you know exactly what the word determined means or exactly what succeed means. And they give us a little bit of an idea here when they tell us what it does mean, but you're using it in a complete sentence. Make sure you have a capital letter. Make sure that your words work together. Make sure that you're able to read it and we're not squishing our letters all and making alphabet soup along the way. And then last but not least, we have something means affected in a favorable way. So think about what affected in a favorable way would mean. If you use process of elimination, you will see that our last word that we have is the word impressed. And when you're impressed, your reaction is it's pretty positive. You're being affected in a good way. That type of idea. So then I want you to come up with a sentence about Milton Hershey. It could be, people that he knew were impressed with him. People he worked with maybe were impressed with what he had done. Or you can come up with your own sentence. So just take a few seconds, come up with your sentence. Make sure you're writing it down. They don't have to be paragraph-long sentences. All right. So for some extra practice, this is completely optional. You don't have to do it. I want you to look at one of the other videos that I have on the YouTube channel that I have made, and I have put up a list of week 12 spelling words. So while it's not in your agenda, I still want you to be practicing some of those spelling words. I show you the whole list and I give you some different ideas to work on to practice. Some of the things we've done in school, some of the things were on those spelling worksheets that we would do from time to time. But if you guys have any questions, you know where to find me, and I hope you have a good day.